Thank you very much, Mrs. Stadler, for this very kind introduction. And in fact, for this last roundtable of the day, we will discuss the question of the strategy. The question has already been slightly touched by some of the different presentations so far. Obviously, when you are presenting your experience, you might refer to some strategy that you have used. But here we will try to be a bit more, let's say, exhaustive and theoretical on the different strategy. Obtaining patent protection, of course, in one specific country already requires the setting of a number of different strategies, the choice of the subject matter to be claimed, the kind of IP right, it can be patent, utility model, design, the scope of protection. Do you want a very broad protection that will come with a very long proceedings, can be very difficult, or on the contrary, do you want immediate protection and then you would accept as a compromise a narrower protection? The timing, when do you need to file first your application? Is the invention mature enough or not? Who to name as the applicant? So there are many different questions that are important that will not be the subject of this roundtable. In this roundtable, we will rather focus on the optimization of the protection in a larger number of countries. When you need to protect your invention in more than one country, other strategies are required. And it's very important to optimize the patenting process. So the compromise is between cost, time, and scope of protection. And it's always the question that will be discussed, and this will be aborted now. So the present roundtable will focus exclusively on the second aspect, and we will call this the filing strategy. And we will address the filing strategy through the angle of a number of questions that I will ask to the different speakers. So together with the panelists, we would like to address a number of topics, like, for example, the selection of the filing technique. What tool do we need to use to file patent application? What is the best choice for the extension route, the Paris route or the PCT route? When we select the PCT, what is the best choice for the international authorities? It can be a combination, and let's see what our panelists have in mind for that question. We will also ask their experience on what they are doing. We are already a bit late, and if we have the time, we would like to address the question of the supplementary international search, which might be also something very important for building the filing strategy, as well as the PPH, patent prosecution highway. And also, yes, if we have time, the criteria that can be important for selecting the countries for the national or regional phase entries. And to terminate this roundtable, we plan to address the question of the future challenge for the Visegrad Patent Institute. In particular, the question of increasing the attractivity of the VPI for the applicants shall be discussed in this panel. So around the table, we have experienced patent attorneys as well as user of the system. We have Mr. Rafał WITEK from Poland, Mr. HARANGOZÓ from Hungary. We have two patent attorneys from Slovakia, Róbert PORUBČAN and Michal LIPTÁK. And we have Mr. Michal ŠTIPL from Czech Republic to help us and to discuss together about these different points. Let's start with the selection of the filing technique. So what is when I say filing technique, what tool are we going to use? And so we have different tools available, and I will give the floor first to Michal ŠTIPL for this question.
So in our thank you very much for the word. Hello everyone, happy birthday to the Visegrad Patent Institute. For filing the PCT applications, our office mainly uses the ePCT system provided by the WIPO, because it presents a really well arranged internet platform. It is very well secured, and it provides me with all the files and all the applications I have filed over the years in a well-arranged form. And of course, there's a possibility to select, for example, Czech Intellectual Property Office as the receiving office, which really helps us during the proceedings, because it's, of course, always easier to communicate in Czech and to handle some formal or informal communications via the telephone in Czech language, rather than communicate with someone foreign in English, where some mistakes can happen in the communication.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the panel who want to add something on this question?
Well,
no.
Sorry. Okay. In our office in Danubia, PatentEnter office in Hungary, we also extensively use the ePCT system. It is very convenient anyway. Sometimes we are confronted with a problem when we take over the representation during the international phase, and in this case, the access to the ePCT system has some issues, but otherwise it is really a very convenient way of handling the PCT applications.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, okay, Robert and Michal, you have the floor.
Okay, hello. Thank you for having us here. So for our side, we also use ePCT since 2014. Initially, we have duplicated the filings through Slovak IPO also, but now we trust ePCT completely, so we don't do that anymore. Maybe interesting things, since we are representing mostly small inventors who are looking for investors, we are selecting often WIPO as a receiving office, and this is because when we select Slovak IPO as a receiving office, the patent number, PCT patent number, is quite low, and it makes us look like a bit of a developing country. So with IB, the PCT number is higher, and it looks better for the investors. It makes us look like more international, even though we are representing a small inventor. So maybe this is the difference, for example, with Michal ŠTIPL. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very interesting and let's say unusual way of using the international bureau, but that's that looks like a very good idea. If there are no other if there are nothing else to add on this topic, we will switch to the second question. The question will be about the choice of the extension route. You know that after the priority year, we have the possibility to file the Paris route, the international route, and I would like to have your view and how you see it for the applicant of the V4 countries, and in particular in the context of the VPI. I think that again, Michal, LIPTÁK and Chan wanted to say something about this.
Yes, please. Yeah, we use almost exclusively PCT route, except of course for Taiwan and sometimes Argentina, because there is no other than Paris route possible. And again, we usually select EPO as a search authority to get a search report from trusted, established search authority. And if this is good, it can already attract investors in this stage of PCT application. And then, well, of course, after 30 to 32 months, there is this need to select the countries where we will enter with national phase, and it all depends on whether we already have an investor and where client believes his goods will be sold, and often clients have not a really good idea where they could expand, so we try to solve it for them, and we use very simple cost benefit calculations, where on the benefit sides are size of the countries by population and GDP, and we use we represent many patents in mobile communications technologies, so maybe the amount of SIM cards, amount of telephones. So often we make these choices for the clients, and these are the criteria we use. It's not that difficult, actually.
Okay. Any other panelists would like to add something on this topic? Yes, Gábor.
Yes. In Hungary, the big companies like the pharma companies mostly have their own patent attorneys, and therefore the patent attorney firms, law offices, mostly represent small and medium-sized enterprises, universities, and individual inventors. So these part of the applicant is very cost sensitive, and therefore we often concentrate on optimizing or minimizing the costs of extending the national application to the international stage. And therefore, if only one or two or very low number of countries are targeted by the applicant, then maybe it is more cost effective to file directly national applications at the end of the priority year. But if several countries are targeted, or at the end of the priority year, the applicant doesn't know the group of the targeted countries, it is worth filing the PCT applications and then to make the decisions on the country selection later.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe I would have a question for Mr. HARANGOZÓ. As you said a moment ago that you choose whether to file PCT application or direct application in selected country, and that it depends from the number of countries the client wants to pursue the protection in. Do you have a specific number of countries in which it is more rational to choose the PCT application, or when it is really better to file directly in the given country?
Well, in my practice, it is roughly 2 or 3 countries. So if the applicant is interested in more than 3 or 4 countries, it might be better to use the PCT route.
Yeah, you're totally right. I think that in fact there are different reasons for selecting the PCT. First, indeed, it will make easier the continuation, the extension of your application in a number of countries, but also in addition, that's an extension of time. Actually, you get an extra. Well, it depends on the fact that you have a priority or not. It can be up to 30 months, 30 extra months before entering into the different countries, where you have to pay the cost for the translation, to appoint a local patent attorney, to start the proceedings, to pay the filing fee, and so on. So yes, for sure, the PCT will increase the cost to a certain extent, but at the same time, it will extend the period. And as several of you and the previous panelists, by the way, have also mentioned, it gives you an opportunity to find a partner. You have more time to find a partner before having to incur all these extra costs. So that could be the second reason for using the PCT route. Okay, but thank you for the question. Now we have. Let's say that we have selected the PCT route. In the PCT, you know that there are different authorities, the international search authorities, international preliminary examination authorities. And I would like now that we discuss how to optimize the selection of these different authorities to provide the best advantages, the best results for the client. And the first question that I would like to address with Rafał is choosing the Visegrad Patent Institute as international search authority or international preliminary examination authority. Is it effectively used? And if not, in your opinion, why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Complicated question, because we don't have one answer, one simple answer to that question. But maybe starting from the beginning, we usually start for our domestic clients with Polish patent application. Then, of course, we claim the priority, and we obtain additionally to that during the first 9 months of the procedure before the Polish Patent Office, we obtain the search and the preliminary opinion prepared by the Polish Patent Office. And if this opinion is positive, then in fact, if we take the VPI as an international searching authority during the international stage of the PCT, then we will have probably also the positive patentability opinion, the written opinion from the international stage. And of course, it depends in that moment. It is the question, yeah, the key question. Shall we indicate Visegrad Patent Institute as a ICA, or indicate the EPO, because in Poland we can also indicate the EPO, and it depends from the client, from some group of our domestic clients, especially the industrial clients or technological startups. They know the value of own invention. They are sure that it is patentable, and the main aim for them is to obtain the patent protection, in fact, yeah. And frankly speaking, the positive opinion from the international search authority can be helpful in obtaining this aim. And they are not going to obtain additional alternative search opinion from the EPO working as a ISA, which will indicate additional state-of-the-art, problematic state-of-the-art. For them, the positive written opinion is enough, and maybe it will be not helpful before the USPTO or in the next stage before the EPO, but in some other countries, they will consider the international search opinion, and it will be helpful in obtaining the the patent. Of course, we have another group of the clients, as you saw, for example, the explanation from Mr. Gurba from Jagiellonian University. And they have, first of all, they have limited budget, and additionally, they are using PCT mainly to extend the time for finding the licensor or someone who will be interested in the commercialization and who will overtake the costs. And for them, the decision about the continuation, the nationalization of the PCT is the crucial, yeah, because it creates the real costs and real budget risk. And I observe that this group of the clients, they usually take the, of course, we file first in the Polish Patent Office, then we have the opinion for the provisional opinion from the Polish Patent Office, and even if it is positive, maybe it encourage them to start the PCT, because if it is negative and it is really negative, then they sometimes they abandon the international stage even, yeah. But if the Polish opinion is positive, they don't go to the Visegrad Patent Institute to repeat the same opinion as a written opinion from this international stage, but they simply look for the additional confirmation of the patentability, and then they go they indicate the EPO as a ISA, and of course it is a reasonable decision, but only in some specific condition, yeah, and for the specific group of the clients. Okay, maybe it's all what I can comment about this stage of the procedure.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafał. I see that Michal has raised his hand and would like to add something.
As Mr. Witek said, it's quite usually a matter of budget of the client. And when we filed the first application before the Czech IPO, the Visegrad Patent Institute provides for the initial search is always welcomed by the client, especially if it is some kind of university where they need to take the further expenses into account. So that's very good that's really good to consider when filing the PCT application, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that Gábor would like to add something, and in particular on the strategy to maximize the value obtained from the search. So you have the floor.
Yes, okay. To start with the situation in Hungary regarding this question. According to our Patent Act, it is possible to request an early search and a written opinion from the Hungarian Intellectual Property Office. This early search is done within 10 months from the date of filing the request for the search, and against an extra fee, it is done within only 2 months. So the first search report may be available right within the priority year. A major part of the applicants from Hungary selects the EPO as the International Searching Authority for the PCT application, even in the case when a search was done in the first national application, because they need an independent further search in the international stage. But this costs a lot due to the high international search fee, since the EPO as an international searching authority gives no fee reduction for earlier searches completed by the patent offices of the Visegrad countries. So if the applicant files a PCT application with claiming the priority of the national patent application and selects the VPI as an international searching authority, and the results of the earlier search can be used for the international search, then the VPI pays back 40% of the international search fee to the applicant upon request, which seems to be a very economic way proceeding with the PCT application. However, if the national search and the international search are done by the same patent office, for example, the Hungarian patent office, it is expected that the national search report and the international search report will contain rather similar or the same prior art references and statements, and the international search will not provide significant additional value about the patentability of the invention. Although in some previous presentations of the VPI branch offices today, it was mentioned that for the international searches, the offices use the technique of 4 eyes with 2 examiners. I think the use of the same patent office for the 2 searches still raises an issue. An alternative solution to this problem might be if the international search were done by an examiner of another branch office of the VPI that is different from the branch office that completed the first search. Because I think in this way the applicant could get 2 really independent search reports for a substantially reduced fee. So such a procedure would be very beneficial and cost-effective for the applicants, not only in Hungary, but probably in other countries of the Visegrad cooperation. So I would be happy to hear the comments and remarks of the colleagues in this regard.
I think that for some clients, this kind of the knowledge is not required. Yeah. Frankly speaking, we don't need the broad published information about the state of the art for the further stage of the international procedure. Yeah, and first of all, our aim in some, at least in some procedures, is to obtain the patent protection. This is our main aim. Yeah, we don't need the true. If some of the patent office, national patent office, is not able to find some really danger state of the art, it is our benefit. Yeah. Maybe it is a very radical approach, but for the clients, we are using this approach, and of course, we should be aware of the state of the art, and we are for important clients and for the important filings, we are doing on state of the art search before before drafting the application, and also we are using another approach. Sometimes we file to the Polish Patent Office, and in the same time we file through another European country like Luxembourg or Italy to obtain the search prepared by the EPO. Still during this first year, priority year, yeah? And then we know which can be given in the international search prepared by the EPO, or which can be given in the international search prepared by the VPI. Yeah.
Okay, I understand your strategy. However, I think that every round of search increases the confidence in the novelty and the inventive step of the invention, and on the other hand, if a dangerous private document is, let's say, not found in the international stage, completed either the VPI or the EPO, it has a high chance that it will be found by the USPTO or the GPO later on, and at that time, the applicant has spent a lot of money for the application. So that's why we are on the safest side, and we would like to know the most possible information about the validity of the patent or the goodness of the invention. So that's why I saw this proposal would be an interesting option which should be, of course, very well considered by the profession and then the VPI as well.
Yeah, but last comment. Of course, I agree with you, but we need this knowledge during the first year, yeah, before the priority deadline, yeah. Because you can, in such situation, if you identify something really danger, you can withdraw without effect going to the state of the art, and then you can apply again for the protection, modify the patent application, and later it is too late simply, yeah? Because after publication, what you can do, you simply increase the level in the state of the art with your own patent application, which has been published.
Your views are not incompatible. Huh? Actually, it depends on the client. Some clients, they don't care about the strength and the validity of the patent. They just want to obtain a patent. And for that categories of client, it's better that a prior art should remain hidden. Other clients, they know that they will invest a lot of money in the extension, in the protection of their patent, and they want to be sure that they are investing that money for a very strong patent. So one solution could be to have this second search optional with a small extra fee for that, and only the applicants interested in that second search could benefit from this second search, and for the other, they are happy with the first search. That will probably not, because it's very unlikely that in the international phase new references are identified, in particular if this is done by the same examiner. So that could be an option, and I think that the 2 points of view are considered, and the 2 points of view could be satisfied with such a solution. I think that Róbert and Michal from Slovakia also wanted to share some experience in this respect.
I add to Rafał's Rafał mentioning that when the patent is not pursued further because it's not new, it's not inventive, you only increase the state of the art. And interesting thing is that there are clients who file patent in a like kind of a defensive way, so they won't be prosecuted by someone, and often the intention is actually to increase the state of the art, to kind of block other possible patents. So often they don't really care where it gets validated, where it gets granted. They simply want to have something that is published to which they can point that we did it first, we did it at this time. And sometimes it happened that these patents actually proved to be new in search reports, so they are pursued further. But it's like kind of only a bonus. They don't really count on the patent being granted at the beginning. So in that cases, you want to get some search reports, but you don't really care whether these search reports find everything. You just want to put your foot in the door and stop them from slamming. So maybe that's one further point.
Thank you very much. I think that with this question, we have also addressed the SIS issue, because of course, the second search that Gábor suggested could be the SIS, except that the SIS is generally much more expensive. And in particular, if there could be the second search by one of the other Visegrad Patent Institute countries, that could be probably less expensive. And Rafał will tell us that SIS is probably not so interesting for the same client that do not want to know more about the prior art. And of course, I fully understand both points of view in this case. But what about the PPH? I am not sure. I have tried to find whether the VPI was involved in a PPH agreement with other patent office, and so far I have not found anything. Is that I would like to know what is your experience and if there are any perspective of PPH agreement. So first of all, would you like to use this? And secondly, is it possible to use it for the time being?
Maybe shortly on supplementary internal search. Also, we don't use it, and this is because we have some experience, and we usually trust our Article 19 amendments, or often we know that they are not going to save the application anyway. So we try to keep the costs down, and well, try to persuade some of the big offices like USPTO or EPO or Chinese Patent Office, which is good for Southeast Asia. Usually, these countries follow the Chinese opinion. And as for PPH, again, since our investors are small since our clients are small inventors who want to postpone the costs as much as possible, we are not really using PPH. We used it, I think, once when we really got an investor in a very early stage after a very favorable opinion of EPO as in the position of international search authority. So there was a very quick deal with a large investor, and then we pursued PPH. But those are the only cases when this is viable. Other clients want to postpone the costs as much as possible.
Anyone else wants to add something about the use of the PPH? No, I don't see that you are a big fan of the of the PPH. Well, to be fair, I have tried several times to use the PPH, but so first you need to have a very positive IPRP. That's the first condition. And when you have this very positive IPRP, then you start entering national or regional phase in other countries, and you would like to benefit of this IPRP. And in my experience, this is very difficult. Even if you have a very positive IPRP, for example, some patent offices are not playing the game. This is the case, for example, from the USPTO. When you enter into the USA with your application, obviously they will need to adapt the claims, because the way we are drafting the claims in Europe is not the same as the way they are drafting the claim in America. And immediately the examiner will say, this is no longer the same set of claims, and then you can no longer use the PPH. Come on, I have removed the multi-dependency because you do not admit it. These are not the same claims, so you cannot use the PPH. Goodbye. In China, there are also some very stupid arguments like that. For example, just problem of clarity due to the translation can no longer be corrected, and therefore they say, it is not the same claim, you cannot use it. So for me, PPH, again, for a certain categories of clients, they want to obtain a quick patent protection on the basis of a very good result, but it does not always work. And in particular, for the PPH, you need to pay an extra fee. And if they decide that you are not eligible to participate to the PPH program, this fee will never be refunded. So at the end of the day, you have the normal examination and you have paid this extra fee. So my personal experience is PPH is I'm not so excited about the PPH.
Yeah.
So we arrive at the end of the international proceedings, and now you need to enter into different countries. regional application or national applications. Can you just let us a glimpse of the criteria that you are using to perform this selection? And I'm sure that, again, you will tell me it depends on the client, but let's discuss what are the criteria that are used to make this selection. Rafał, you want to start?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my observation, currently the majority of our clients is thinking about the European market as a European Union, and therefore the EPO is usually almost always choice. Yeah, and of course it is also cost effective because still it is regional phase, not the national, and we have still some control over the costs. And I think that it is also the main problem for the development, growing the popularity of the VPI, because if we are going through the VPI in the international stage, then when we go to the EPO make the supplementary research, yeah, always. And if there, I think that if there is some way like PPH or maybe some bilateral cooperation with the EPO, that they will accept the results from the search and examination from the VPI, which in my personal opinion is really very good. VPI provides really good quality of the search, and I never saw some additional danger document in the supplementary research prepared by the EPO. It will be really positive for the development of the VPI. I think that is the main direction which can be helpful for the VPI. If we think about our local conditions in Europe, yeah, generally speaking. But of course, when we talk about another countries, as it was explained earlier, we are really focused on Europe. The second market for our clients, because we have a lot of clients in life science, is of course US, and it is different country, yeah, and they always do own search. They're using another patent classification, and they provide another citations, and this is absolutely another examination, yeah. And as it was also explained, we can use PPH, we can use another approach, but always USPTO is doing own search, and they're using.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay, I completely agree with Rafał. Okay, the situation at least in our patent firm is very similar. It is interesting because sometimes my clients asks me which countries I suggest them for the national stage, and it is really difficult to say anything because I am not a businessman, and so this is his business and not mine. I'm just assisting you in getting an exclusive right on special markets. But the situation is similar. The main target market is Europe and the United States. Many of the clients are interested in Japan and China, in the Asian region, and it is interesting that the number of Indian applications is increasing. It is, but I am a little bit disappointed, frankly speaking, because the Indian procedure is has a very low costs apparently, but later on the costs at the first and second examination reports tend to increase dramatically, and these examination reports are very challenging to a European patent attorney, and it is sometimes very difficult to understand what is the problem indeed. But despite this fact, this is a tendency that more and more clients are interested in India. Of course, India is a very big country with 1 billion inhabitants, so it is a great market in the next 10 or 15 years.
Okay, thank you very much, Gábor. Maybe Róbert and Michal, you want to add something on this?
Yeah, we just wanted to agree with Gábor concerning India, because it is also our experience that we are receiving very unique objections from Indian office, which we are not receiving from any other countries. We have a patent which is already granted in Europe, in USPTO, and we have received the first office action just now in India, which claims it is not clear. There are clarity issues. I believe it is kind of an English-speaking country, so
kind of.
understand. Yeah, but yeah, apparently there are clarity issues, and this happens a lot. And yeah, the costs are rising exponentially from these first and very often second office action. And well, yeah, the selection of countries depends on the client, and maybe when we can speak about cases where client doesn't know where to expand. We are doing a lot of manufacturing patents, so we are often selecting China because we are still expecting that potential infringement can happen from China, so we want to have this covered. And we often select India just because of the large market population speaking. We sometimes choose South Africa to have a kind of morale boost, because it's always granted there and very quickly. And EPO, of course, and the rest depends. But in manufacturing, these are the countries we are selecting. Sometimes we also had Nigeria, also because of the rising population and expectations about the growing market there. But often it's client only tells us what budget he has, and we are supposed to select the countries to fill in the budget. So these are the criteria we are using: GDP, population, and where we expect the potential infringement. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Michal, you also wanted to add something.
No, nothing new. It was already said a couple of times. EPO and US are the obvious choices, but when we have clients who want to protect their device, and they always raise their concerns that it will be manufactured cheaply in China, then I say, of course, that's what the patent is for. So file the application in China, and as the numbers suggest, the number of applications filed in China and granted in China are ever rising more than before. So it's obvious choice to also file the application in Asian countries, especially for electronics and semiconductor devices and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we arrive to the last of our question. We will now spend a few minutes before terminating this session about the question is the following: how can we improve the activity, the attractivity of the VPI? What can be done from your point of view, from the user point of view? What can be done to make it more attractive? Some ideas have already been expressed. Gábor has indicated the idea of having a second search. Rafał has suggested, if not a PPH, a kind of cooperation bilateral agreement with the EPO to make sure that the search report of the VPI would be recognized by the EPO and would not lead to a second to a supplementary search. Any other ID, whatever, the term of quality, language, other kind of bilateral agreement. I see that Joanna is taking notes, so your message will pass through. Yes,
okay, I confirm the previous statement of Rafał that the quality of the work of the VPI is really very high, and it is comparable to that of the EPO. So we are really satisfied with it. I have a remark that maybe this 4i technique could be made public because the applicants, the clients doesn't know anything about the internal operation of the VPI, and I think if this would be a little bit more opened for the public, there might be a more confidence in selecting the VPI as an international search authority, for example. So that's a remark.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, as I said at the beginning, the search report is one of the first selling points when one wants to attract the investors. And while on the investor side, it's often not about knowledge; it's about perception. They perceive EPO or German Patent Office as reliable. So, the issue is really about building a reputation. VPI, of course, it has to do its work doing search reports, but it has to work on a publicity a lot, building a reputation, maybe tracking the differences between their search report when they were selected as a search authority and EPO search report, which usually follows when EP is selected as in a national phase. So they have to really build the reputation so that the lay public, which does not always understand the intricacies of these search reports, simply trust them, like they trust German Patent Office, like they trust EPO. So I believe this is something that should be done. It's crucial for making it really attractive and preferred choice.
Thank you very much. Michal, or Michal first, maybe you want to add something? No? And Rafał then?
Yeah, I am not going to my earlier comments, but in fact, the main way should go through the recognition on the international level, especially by another important patent offices like EPO or USPTO. It's bilateral recognition of the examination of the search by another office would or such solution like the patent highway would be probably the best way to increase the attractiveness of VPI. And from our local perspective, at least some cooperation with the EPO, at least avoiding the supplementary search by the EPO would be really very welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafał. So I think that we are now coming to an end of this panel. We are a bit beyond our time, but in fact we have started late also, so I don't think that we have exceeded our time. As a very small wrap-up, I think that from the feedback expressed this afternoon, I see that the panelists are satisfied and even very happy with the use of the VPI. They are using it, but there are still some possibility of improvement, and this will go through negotiation with the big office, maybe the big five, but maybe the first start should be the EPO. Okay, thank you very much for your participation in this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.